Hello and welcome to Noble Mind.
Noble Mind is a podcast exploring mindfulness, meditation, and psychology. Hello, listeners. In this episode, Coinçon talks about using sophrology, a healing method developed in the mid-20th century to support and enhance our health and well-being. Coinçon studied modern literature at the Sorbonne and has a master's in Caycedian Sophrology. She has been practicing sophrology for over 20 years and founded Sophro-Mobile, where she works with adults and children to help manage their stress and emotions. If you're a fan of Noble Mind, you can follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or Twitter, and join our free Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/noblemindmind. You can learn more about upcoming events, get our show notes, and join our email list at noblemindpodcast.com. Enjoy the show.
We are here with Coinçon. Welcome to Noble Mind.
Thank you.
Looking forward to getting to know you more and hearing about your work. Why don't you just get us started with telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Okay, so I'm 55. I think it's important also to say it because it's really anchored in my life. And I'm a mom of 4 children, currently still with my husband after 30 years. That can also be a challenge for my own also practice and my life. And I'm a sophrologist. I will explain on maybe later on what it means. But I've been practicing sophrology for 20 years now. And I have to say also that I am handicapped and my sophrology practice has really helped me and still does right now to continue, improve or walk better. And it's been 6 years now that I met MSc, Mindful Self-Compassion, and I introduced it in my practice and in my life.
Thank you. I wonder if it would be useful to share a little bit more with our listeners about anything you want to share about your health, since you brought that in. And then also, what is this sophrology thing, which is such a unfamiliar word, I know, for many folks, including myself.
I had a tumor that is called ependymoma. It's in the spine. It's inside the bone marrow. That's important to understand because the surgeon cut my spinal cord and took off the tumor, meaning it went into my bone marrow. And I have also cystis and water in my bone marrow. So normally I shouldn't walk and do the things I do because of its state. But my surgeon says it's messy in my bone marrow. But I'm still progressing. And I'm deeply convinced that it is also because of my practice with movements and all that, but also with my discussions with my neurosystem and with my cells. So there is something my surgeon would like to understand is how it works, because seeing the image, I shouldn't act as I do. So for me, even if the researchers in neurology aren't that advanced to know what is going on, but at least, and sophrology is really a practice also of intentions, but at least all this good harmony in discussion with my own cells, with my own neurosystems, with my own muscles and all my body, in fact, is probably helping me a lot being in that state.
So you're a bit of a medical mystery.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm so interested in neuro researchers, because I'm really excited to understand how it works.
It also means you've had a lot, it sounds like quite a lot to cope with. And so the tools that you've figured out help you have really been put through their paces.
Yeah. And even with my child, when he was 2 years old, he had also a tumor in his spinal cord. And at that time, sophrology really helped me to keep the energy, to believe in what they were doing at the hospital, to being fun also with my kid, because I needed that energy for him. And I was able to see how practical it was. It really helped me in my day-by-day life at that time and since then.
Would you tell us more about sophrology?
Okay, I cannot speak about sophrology without talking about the founder of the sophrology, who is a neuropsychiatrist who is dead now, but he was a neuropsychiatrist in the late 50s. He was working in hospital in Madrid and was very shocked by the way people were treated with shocks and also the coma with the insulin and all that. He really wanted to find another method to help people who were suffering, for example, of schizophrenia and all mental diseases. So he was deeply involved in a new method that he took the word schizophrenia to create Sophronia. It was Spanish, and in Spanish it's schizophrenia. Ski means rupture, so comes from the Greek harmony, and phrenia comes from phren in schizophrenia. Phren is the spirit, the consciousness. That means schizophrenia is the rupture of the harmony of the consciousness. Meaning he wanted to make like a balance to that and create a like sauce harmony, phren, spirit, consciousness, sophronia, and it had logos for instruction or speech, use of words. We don't work with our hands, we work with our words. So it gave sophronia in Spanish and with logos, sophrologia, and in French or in English, sophrology. And with that idea, he wanted to deeply improve that and the knowledge. And at that time, there were a new method in hospitals, psychotherapist hospitals, which was the use of phenomenology. Phenomenology at the basic is a philosophy studying consciousness. But for example, Caycedo was quite shocked that in university there was no course about consciousness. It was really important for him to study consciousness with scientific basics. So he studied phenomenology and went to Switzerland to a clinic at Binswanger. Binswanger was a Swiss psychotherapist who had a clinic and who was using the phenomenology in his practice. And he created Binswanger, the Dasein analysis. That was a brand new way of working with patients. For example, in his clinic in Switzerland, the people who had harsh diseases like schizophrenia and all that were free to go. They were living in the houses, so there were no cookers, no people helping with the cleaning. All the patients were taking care of the kitchen and all that. So Caycedo, he went there, he worked there for a while, and he was quite shocked because he could see the schizophrenia people with knives, for example. But there was no harms, nothing like that. This freedom and the fact that in phenomenology, you really have the approach of no judgment and no givens. And even for the therapist, it was a big gift because it was a new way to attend the link with the patient. It was created a new way of understanding what they were suffering of and trying to help them, but without saying, I'm a superior because I'm a doctor. You're really a stupid thing because you're schizophrenia. It wasn't at all the idea. So Caycedo took that approach of no judgment, of huge freedom and no givens to enter it in this method of studying consciousness. That's one part. And then he wanted to learn more. So suddenly he decided to go in India and to go and with the approval of Binswanger, who was really saying, yes, they heal people through the consciousness and the body. So in the 60s, he thought for 6 months, he stayed 2 years with his wife, and he approached the best known yogis and also the doctors. He met the Dalai Lama and his doctors, and he was taking the notes because he wanted to create this method. So he realized how the connection between the body and the consciousness was huge. So he kept some postures. We have a posture that comes from the Zen because he went also in Japan to learn to meet the Zen medicine and then monks, and to study Zen also in the approach of consciousness and what is going on in the body and with your consciousness and all that. And he came back taking all the good things we could use it in Europe, and he created that method.
Are there a few core principles of sophrology you find most helpful in a kind of day-to-day sense?
We work through different techniques, and we have 3 basic techniques that are relaxation. So we train to relax very quickly. Then we have the exercise that I want to offer you after at the end. That is the negative shift that really helps to erase the tension, to free the tensions in the body and also in the mind. Like, for example, the worries. And then after, we train the energy through visualization and also the feeling of your heel and warmness. You send this energy in our organs, like to program them to help me. So if there is a challenge, then after that, I can either visualize me having managed to do that, and then I will face, for example, my heart is beating a lot. So I try during the session or during my practice to slow it down because I recognize it. Don't judge it. Do it directly. Keep it quiet. And also with the breathing, same thing. And we use also effectively the breathing thing to just reduce with the abdominal breath. It's really typical breathing in sophrology. Also, we work a lot with intentions. So we may ask a question really free and open in the body, not waiting for the answer, but just saying, okay, I put the seed and I will have the answer. I don't push you. We really check the phenomenon is the connection with phenomenology. The phenomenon is simply all what is alive inside of you or around you. It can be bubbles, it can be feelings, it can be colors, it can be sentences, what arises in ourselves during the practice. We can also remember, for example, a memory of a success and feel how we felt during that moment when I had succeeded in either baking a cake or having a huge challenge. How did I feel when I succeeded? So this feeling, because I felt it, but I feel it right now. It's also important in the practice that 3 dimensions of time, pace, past, present, and future, how we remember the past and we feel right now, and we use it for the future to be more confident in what's going on. And each time, for example, after the 3 techniques I talked about at the beginning, we have also the same work each time, activating capacities of confidence, of harmony between our mind and body, and also capacity of hope, being full of hope for an existence full of meaning. But there are a lot of practice. We work also with sounds or things like that. The idea in sophrology is that we go deep inside of the cells. We go through the muscles, we go through the bones, and we go in the cells, in the molecules. We talk really to the infinitively small.
My understanding of phenomenology is that it's the study of phenomena. So it's how things appear in our experience, how we experience things, the meanings we give to things. So it's a very first-person perspective.
Completely. For me, it was really my link to mindfulness. Finally, I understood what mindfulness is. That's really a link between phenomenology and mindfulness. It's that ability to be at the same time the one who is relaxing, for example, and the one who is observing, and observing without judgment, without the givens.
I'd like to understand what you mean by givens more.
In French, we say the a priori, that is a Latin word.
Beginner's mind in Buddhism.
Completely. That's exactly that. The idea is to come back to the baby born, the newborn we were.
Don't know mind.
Yeah. And with that, because in sophrology, the importance of joy is really, really deeply present. So we seek for positiveness and we seek also for joy, but we don't have to seek too long because the body is really happy to live. There's happiness of being alive without suffering in a not sick body. But even in a sick body, I remember one of my clients, she was suffering with a brain cancer. And at the beginning, I was, wow, this is tricky to go and seek for positiveness and life in this case. But I dropped my a priori and then I went with the technique. And it was so marvelous because she was afraid of walking. But after she walked again, she didn't play piano anymore. And after the practice, she was playing. I think that's my way of seeing it, but it shaped her life inside of her cells that came back to her with the pleasure of playing music, of going and walk, even if she couldn't go in the mountain like she used to do, but she was so happy to walk in the countryside. Because it's really the idea of Coinçon says we are more Velcro than Teflon. And so in sophrology, we know that. And we take our, like the wire. Okay, we go. We know you suffer for that, but we don't push too much the energy towards that, but we are looking for what works inside of you. And that is enough, really, really often, to wake up the vitality inside of ourselves.
So it's helping the person manage their awareness and also being aware of their resources and the joy that they can actually easily access in their body so that they can have a more spacious, fuller view of what they're facing. And I understand that it's quite popular in the French-speaking world, and it's used by military commandos, athletes, actors.
I have students, for example, when you have a challenge, like in sports, it's really important because it's really helping us to feel that we can do it. So if you can't, the body will say no. For me, for example, if I imagine I'm going to run, I know deeply it's smiling at me. I can feel it. It's okay, you would like it, but you know you can't. So really it's this dialogue.
For migraine sufferers and childbirth, I think in Japan it's popular.
Yeah, it helps also to prepare the mom. Yes. It helps the mother to prepare for the contractions and all that, to breathe better. And because she has anticipated the moment and she has trained her body to suffer less or to be more quiet, or be more peaceful, it's as if she has lived the birth and it helps her.
Visualizing a positive outcome.
Yes, but deeply in the body with the cells.
So, yeah, I'm trying to understand how this happens. So, for instance, with the example of accessing joy in one's body, let's imagine we have some listeners who struggle with that. With the world being what it is now, we have many reasons to have concerns about life. So maybe you could walk us through, like, what would a person actually do to try to cultivate that sense of joy when it feels so far away?
When I talk of joy, I have to precise something. It's the deeply joy of life. I mean,
like vitality?
Yes, like vitality. And that could be the self in presence joy. Okay, that's the observer. So I might be in that state and also cry because I was hurt by something, especially as a highly sensitive person. I can cry, be in sadness, but feel deeply inside of me, there is this joy of living. Also, what I like in MSC, but it's also the common humanity. It can be in everyone, even in the worst situations. But it comes because of the training. Because we are so used to train to put our intentions towards the positiveness. So we are surprised at what I love in phenomenology, the practice of phenomenology in our practice of sophrology, is that I can be surprised. For example, I broke my leg. I am handicapped, so I walked not that well. And then I break my leg. So I was, oh shit. And then I broke the big bone, the tibia. So I was in my wheelchair waiting for my friend to go to the physiotherapist. And without thinking especially of my leg, suddenly there was inside of me this sentence, oh, I bet you're going to walk better afterwards because your body scheme is going to be changed, because the leg who supported my body was broken. And then I laughed on my wheelchair because that was saying, oh, wow, that's really the proof that sophrology gives us positivity without even looking for it. I mean, I smile at myself because I said, oh, yes, that's right. That's an opportunity to walk better after.
There's some very recent studies on mindset. And they're finding, for instance, that if people think of what they're doing as exercise, there are physiological changes in their body. It actually functions more as exercise, or the power of expectation and its ability to create actual physiological changes in the body.
You know, for me, that's my great pleasure of being in the MSc courses and close also to the researches that are made mostly in the States about neurology, because what Caycedo invented was before all those studies. It was guessing and betting it could work. But now that we have the proofs that it works, it's delightful for me. And it's also convincing I am on the right path to help people.
It also reminds me of another study where they had athletes who were recovering from injury, and they had one group visualize doing their exercises, and the other group just as usual without that. And the people who visualized got better faster and were able to get back to their athletic activities, with a shorter recovery time and whatnot.
The numbers are really impressive because it's when you break one bone, you lose 80% in something like 15 days of your abilities to move. When you do in that kind of studies they did in the States, when you do your visualizations, but they did it a long time per day. That it's not, okay, I'm thinking moving and I forget after. No, but practicing it during those days, they just lost 15%.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's amazing how powerful visualization is in our muscles. I love that.
That's great. Yeah. It also sounds like what you're saying in your example, when you broke your leg and you had that thought arise, was that having practiced this for a long time, it feels like it's more reflexive for you now. It happens more naturally that, when you hit a hardship or difficulty, you're able to see the opportunity in that or see the possibility in that more quickly and reflexively.
I love this quick side of it because I'm quite impatient. And it also happens with after a few sessions. I'm quite surprised with my clients. I'm always amazed how quick that can go. For example, it can help also with sleep problems, sleeping issues. So I had a client, she was a student in medicine and she was studying. She had a huge challenge after the 4th year to become a doctor. She was really stressed with a lot of things to learn, and she woke up every night and she was mad because she could see, she had a nightmare seeing her brain putting the informations in kind of a library. And I said to her, okay, that's your point of view. We respect it. We don't judge it. But can't you imagine that maybe you could be thankful to it, towards your brain? Just wake up, say thank you. You do that job for me, but please do it well because tomorrow morning I have more to learn. And she laughed. So she did it. And that was the only one time she did that practice with me because it was over after all. She was in peace, so happy to know that her brain was working during the night, helping her to have these informations.
I love that. I have had the occasion a few times where I've had to give a big presentation where the night before I had a dream of the presentation going really well. And I always remember like waking up and being like, yay, thank you, brain. you know?
Yeah. Caycedo used to say, because I had it as a teacher at the end of his life, and he told us before leaving us, just in the morning, in your bed, laying down on your bed, before your day comes, imagine yourself smiling, seeing your day going on very well with kind people and all that. It's not magic. We know it's not magic. It's not, we don't have this power, but it helps the brain to see it with another perception. It's going to help your brain and your nervous system to capture all the safe indicators instead of the dangerous ones.
Having listened to some guided meditations, some sophrology books, it also seems like there's breathing, there's sort of like a body scan, and awareness of embodiment, how things are feeling in your body, agency of simple movements. You bring the client into a certain state.
Yes.
And after that, you may address fear of flying or performance anxiety or a difficulty they're facing.
That's the idea. And if you want, I can make a practice for you and the listeners. And also, what MSc was a huge gift for me is that I encountered MSc 6 years ago. I had a quite harsh moment at that time. And a friend of mine indicated some books, and Christophe Neff was my first encounter with MSc. And it was so sudden to realize how it was implicated with the practice of sophrology, but at the same time with this wonderful gift of being kind to myself. So it was really like a huge gift for me to maybe dare opening that door, because in sophrology I was maybe too much in the, okay, we escape the negativity, we stay focused on the positivity. And at that time of my life I realized that I might have forgot that it was important also to let space to my pain. And it's also open on love. And in sophrology we talk about friendship, we talk about love. Maybe I thought might also be question of language, because it's not my mother language. In French, amour, I don't put it in my profession. It was not my mother language. I could use love for myself. And this idea of being your best friend, such a huge present. I decided that was the last time I was quite losing myself, because I was sad and quite of losing my laugh and all that. And in fact, with Christine Neff, I realized I was losing myself. In fact, I wasn't very kind with myself to do that. What is astonishing with life and synchronicity is that last weekend, I had a workshop with Natalia Caycedo, who is Caycedo's daughter. She has the School of Sophrology Caycedian worldwide. And we practiced with sounds, trying to awake the feeling of friendship and also feeling of affection into our bodies, to understand what my phenomena were. For example, I saw it because we work with also the blood we see moving in our bodies and all that. We are really, really in our organs. And then this feeling of affection in my phenomena was kind of nice pink energy, and it went in my blood. So after it was in me, I could be with this feeling of affection, even for people with who I was not very with friendly feelings, but it impacted my perception of these people.
It helps not abandon yourself emotionally or abandon other people emotionally by connecting in these very sensory, visceral visualization ways.
For me, that's really a key in phenomenology, so in sophrology too, to go to the deep point of what is the alive thing in the cells of everything that helps us to connect to everything in art, or I don't know if I'm clear when I say that.
I'll try to paraphrase and see, but it sounds like what you're saying goes back to the word that keeps coming to my mind is vitality.
Yeah.
That there's or like a meaning, but without like not kind of non-conceptual, like a deeper state of the vividness of being alive and
Yes.
life living itself through you, and like that whole sort of deeper place that's not just like a passing emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this perception of vitality everywhere is also going through art, for example, where we can capture what the painter, what the artist, what the music can give us. And in sophrology, we don't talk about unconsciousness. We talk about the part of ourselves where the consciousness is not enlightened, without light. And if, for example, the music can put some light in our own consciousness.
Experientially
For me,
too.
For me, Mozart or Bach are great helpers to hear myself or to help the job being done without my cortex.
It also seems very connected to mindful experience of, let's say, movement or washing, living in a very experiential way.
Yeah, for me, the big difference is the shift negativity.
Out of negativity, yeah.
Yes. Because it helps me to go quicker. For example, when I practiced the shame workshop with Chris Germer, I realized it did help me to go quicker, to erase shame, because as soon as I was able to see it, I used my technique of shifting negativity, and it was going quickly away from me. That was exciting. I couldn't avoid the pain when I was feeling the pain, but afterwards, it was really helpful to see how quick it went away.
I'm curious to understand that negative shift practice, what that looks like in your mind.
Okay. You want to practice it now?
I would love to.
Okay. So we stay, if you would like to, you may close your eyes and we just sit and put your hands, if you agree, on your legs, just to stay in contact with your body. And then we first try to relax our body entirely. We try to relax. In sophrology, the head, we call it the first system. So we relax the head. We try to drop the jaw. We try to relax the muscles. Yeah, like that means an open mouth if you can. And then you drop all the muscles, and thorax, you relax through also the belly or the back, you try to relax, and then to drop the tensions through the legs till the feet. And now I'm going to explain you what we're going to do. If you can sit more in front of your chair, move your body and put yourself like this. And I'm going to explain you first. We're going to exhale with the mouth, trying to swallow your belly. And then we're going to inhale with our nose and trying to expand the belly. And we will keep our air, raising your arms to either side of your head. And then we'll try to make a tension with all your muscles. And then if any worries are there, you're going to see them. And then when you exhale, you'll drop your arms and shake them and put your hands again on your legs. So we go together. You can exhale with your mouth, swallowing your body. You inhale with your nose. Then you raise your hands to either side of your head. Tense your muscles. If there are any worries there, just see it. And when you're fed up to keep the air, you exhale. Yeah. And moving your arms. And during the next exhalations, you send the negativity and all the tensions away. like freeing the tensions. And then you go back to your position of relaxation. And just we're going to activate our energy with our simple breathing. We inhale, kind of healing the warmness of the circulation of the blood. And when you exhale, you send this energy to your brain, to your thyroid gland, to your lungs. You inhale your energy, and when you exhale, you send it to your organs. So then you send it to your heart, to your digestive system, and to the bladder and the kidneys and all the body. When you inhale, you activate your warmness. When you exhale, you activate your energy in all your body. And then you can move your feet, your legs, your hips, and try to move your whole body. And maybe shake your hands and put your hands on your face. And then that's it.
Lovely. Thank you. Just a
Reminds me a lot.
clarifying question of that. When you lift the arms up and kind of gather all that tension and worry, are you holding your breath at that time and then
Yes.
exhaling? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. The idea is to inhale while tensing. The idea of I realize my tensions. So that's a way also to train the fact that I am not denial. I see I am tensed. And to put the worries in the same time. So when I relax my muscles, my worries can go also. It's a way of sending them away with your exhalation.
Yeah. And for me, the shaking it out really helps. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, I like it. So you can send the negativity away.
I feel noticeably relaxed just after that. It reminds me a lot of the mindful self-compassion related things I've come across, the visualization, pairing the internal state with external, like breathing in, breathing up, and also noticing and letting go of judgments as they arise, instead of believing them, elaborating on them, or spending time practicing judgments in an embodied way. Yeah.
You know, the other day I was practicing about the stories we can tell to ourselves, the beliefs we have. This idea of seeing things with the newborn eye is erasing the stories. So you are capable of changing your story, of being the master. I like to say that we are like the conductor of the orchestra. Our organs are the musicians, the different instruments, and inside the self in presence is the conductor. It can be in harmony, it can be very fluid, and I like the music it can give.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much, Catherine.
You're welcome.
This was delightful. How can people learn more about you and your work?
So my website is www.sophro-mobile.fr, and there is a contact paper over there on my website. And also in Instagram, I'm on catherine.sophro.mobile, because I work also with my photos. My photos are helping me to write. And this idea of being worldwide, I love it. So
wonderful. We will share that on our show notes page so people can click right on through to your website.
Contact you on the phone, work with you on the phone.
Yes. For children, it's more by Zoom or Teams, because they like to see my face. I think I make them laugh. Adults or teenagers, it's more on the phone, because like this, people can be free to practice everywhere they want. And also because it's a work with the voice. Also, my client, they can take notes when we talk about the beliefs or all that. And so it's really a different work than facing, but without the sense of the view. It's really developed the other senses, and it's really, really interesting.
Yes, that's true. I've done some telephone therapy during the pandemic, and it does develop other sensory
Yeah,
capacities than the
yeah.
video.
Because the key of the practice is to train. So it's important to train, for example, a few minutes for this practice of the shift of negativity. You can do it a few seconds. And if you do it every 2 days or every day, in the bus, in the metro, in the countryside, everywhere, it's important to train. So I record the practice and send it to my clients to help them to, like this, they can practice.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Catherine. This has been a lovely conversation and a wonderful
Thank
introduction to
you.
sophrology. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Thanks
so
so
much.
much.
I was so happy to be with you.
You're delightful. Thank you. Thanks for listening today.
If you enjoyed this episode, we hope you'll hit subscribe, leave us a great rating or review, and spread the word. You can also go to noblemindpodcast.com to join our email list. You'll get a weekly behind-the-scenes message, news, announcements, and other special goodies we come up with just for you. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.